Devin Haney, the undisputed king of the lightweight division, is prepared to take on the next challenge of his career. On October 28th, Haney will compete against Regis Prograis, the current holder of the WBC super lightweight title. The battle was first publicized in a Twitter sent out by ESPN's Mike Coppinger, and Haney reposted the message immediately after it was sent out. Thus, keep watching this video to see why Regis Prograis versus Devin Haney will be a mismatch. Devin Haney climbs up in weight in order to face Regis Prograis. In June of 2022, Haney, who had a perfect record of 30-0 with 15 knockouts, fought George Kambosos Jr. to unify his WBC lightweight championship with the WBO, IBF, and WBA crowns. After successfully defending his championships in the rematch, although both bouts took place in Australia, the native country of Kambosos, Haney put the belts on the line in May when he fought Vasily Lomachenko. Following 12 rounds of high-level technical combat, Haney was ultimately determined to be the victor by a unanimous vote. The judgment was received with some disagreement, but in the end, most people agreed that a narrow victory for Haney was acceptable, even if it was not the outcome that had been hoped for. Because Haney is such a huge lightweight, it seemed inevitable that he would advance to the next weight class sooner or later. According to Boxing Scene, Haney made the decision to step up to 140 pounds in order to challenge for the championship held by Prograis. But he was also reportedly lobbying the WBC to enable him to keep his lightweight belt. If Haney had continued to compete in the lightweight weight class for his subsequent bout, the WBC mandatory challenger, Shakur Stevenson, would have been a likely opponent in a matchup between two of the sport's most promising young competitors. On the other hand, Prograis, who has a record of 29-1 with 24 knockouts, gained more recognition after beginning to compete in the World Boxing Super Series in 2018. Prograis earned his first world title by beating Terry Flanagan in the first round of the competition. He then went on to win the WBA championship by claiming victory against Kirill Relik in the quarterfinals of the competition. Despite putting forth a valiant effort, Prograis was ultimately defeated by Josh Taylor through a majority decision in the championship match. Since then, Prograis has notched up 5 victories in a row, culminating in a victory against Jose Zepeda by knockout that earned him the vacant WBC belt. Also, Prograis' most recent fight, which took place in June and was against Danielito Zarilla, ended with a surprisingly close split-decision victory for Prograis. Eddie Hearn claims that the fight is virtually agreed to terms. The battle between Regis Prograis and Devin Haney for Regis's WBC light welterweight championship is virtually agreed, according to Eddie Hearn, the bout's promoter. But he also cautions that they're running out of time to get the negotiations finalized. Haney is looking to become a 2-division world champion by fighting Prograis, who has a record of 29-1 with 24 knockouts. In addition, Haney has a perfect record of 30-0 with 15 knockouts, and he has just petitioned the WBC to enable him to freeze his lightweight championship. This would allow him to avoid facing his mandatory challenger, Shakur Stevenson. On the other hand, if they decide not to, some believe that Haney would petition for the franchise tag, which would give him the opportunity to stay away from Shakur for as long as he wants. After being knocked down in the second round and becoming dazed in the third round of his most recent bout in June against Danielito Zarilla, Prograis just escaped with a victory by a 12-round split decision. It is often assumed that Haney's interest in Prograis was aroused as a result of his bad performance versus Zarilla. Haney, with his acute vision, most likely saw an elderly, feeble warrior who was on his last legs and ready to be taken off for an easy meal. This is analogous to how a wolf might hunt if it had identified flaws in its prey. The battle has not been won. Eddie Hearn gave an update on the talks between Regis Prograis and Devin Haney to IFL TV and said, "I don't believe that will be the date, October 28th, but I spoke to Bill Haney today. I spoke to Devin Haney today, and we are speaking to Regis Prograis non-stop," as he was providing an update on the Regis Prograis versus Devin Haney fight. He added, "Both combatants are willing to engage in the battle, but they have not yet settled on the conditions. At the same time, it seems as if they have reached a consensus on the terms, but there is still some work to be done. Although I believe there is a good chance that we will see that war, there's not much time left. We need to come to an agreement with the WBC within the next 24 to 48 hours, but that is the fight we want to make." It is probable that we will see Haney elect to seek the WBC to give him the franchise tag, and then he will aim to make an easy defense against his obligatory opponents, George Kambosos Jr. or Isaac Pitbull Cruz. Although he is moving up to face Prograis, Devin Haney has decided not to fight Shakur. According to Bill Haney, his son, Devin Haney, will not be staying at 135 pounds to defend his undisputed lightweight title against his WBC mandatory challenger, Shakur Stevenson. Instead, he will be stepping up to the 140 pounds to challenge Regis Prograis, who is the current champion of the WBC light welterweight division. According to ESPN, the fight between Haney and Prograis will take place, and if Haney prevails, he would next face Teofimo Lopez, the WBO 140-pound champion, in a unification event. Also, this fight would be a very profitable one for both boxers. Haney needs the WBC championship held by Prograis as leverage. It's a decision that makes sense for Haney to undertake since his chances of success against Shakur Stevenson, who is undefeated and has 10 knockouts, would be limited. This is particularly true when taking into consideration the difficulties that Devin has been having making weight at 135. For Haney, the winning WBC 140-pound belt means more money, and without the WBC strap, Devin would be nothing more than a challenger to Teofimo, who is now the WBO champion. This would imply that Devin would have to settle for a lower portion of the overall cash reward. Even if Haney's odds of victory in the bout against Prograis are substantially stronger, the amount of money that will be at stake is unlikely to compare to what it would have been had he remained at lightweight to defend against Shakur. Prograis, who is 34 years old, is no match for Haney because he's elderly, washed out, and lacks agility, arm length, and the capacity to adjust to new situations. What is most essential for Haney is to win the WBC belt at 140 pounds, because it is a championship that will give him credibility, and he can use if he wins the fight against Teofimo. But in order for that to occur, he must first get the WBC championship now held by Prograis, and then convert to money. According to Shakur, Haney's offer was a scam. I don't believe it was a serious offer at all, Shakur Stevenson told Fight Hype. I think it was something they throw out there to try and make themselves look good. In reference to the 25% that Devin Haney promised him for a fight, the fight happened. In addition, Shakur will be eligible to compete for one of the lightweight belts after Haney relinquishes all 4 of the titles he now has, most likely the WBC strap. He would prefer to face Vasily Lomachenko for one of them, but it's probable against George Kambosos Jr. for the IBF championship instead. Leave a comment below telling us what you think about the fight between them and whether or not you agree with us that it will be a mismatch. And that wraps things up. We appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. Please hit the subscribe button and we'll see you in the next one.